So directing, it's a big mystery what directors do. And basically, you have to start thinking about stories. So stories, everyone is familiar with stories. Every culture has different stories. You can have myths, you can have a funny thing that happened at your bodega that you think would be a great story and a great joke that you tell somebody. So everyone has this ability of telling stories. And a director basically takes all the different arts and you put it into a visual story, and then you add sound, you can add dance, you can add music. So you put it all together, and you give it a direction and an idea, and you make decisions about all of those things, how you want to tell the story. So when you get down to directing, you have directing for the camera, directing for actors, and directing the sound. And in Japan, they only teach sound first. So it's very important, and it's something subliminal that you can hear in the background that you don't think about necessarily. So directing camera, there are different lenses that you have. It's called the focal length. So there's a telephoto lens, which if you're standing here, it will focus in on something very far away, like a bird in a tree, or the other side of the room. And a wide angle lens is your perspective right now. So that's probably the one you're most used to seeing. And nowadays there are apps you can put on your phone. There's one called Director's Viewfinder. So it will show you different focal lengths, and it makes a box like this. So then you can just change the size and get an idea of different lenses without actually having to have a camera with different lenses. And shots are the building blocks for talking about camera. So we're going to talk about different types of shots. Lenses we just talked about. So these are different kinds of shots. So you talk about the size of the shot, and this is an extreme close-up, so something very close to where you don't see the entire figure, the entire person. It's very close, maybe the eye or the ear, they're listening to something. Then there's a close-up, which is basically the neck and the head. So everyone on Zoom is basically in a close-up. And then a medium shot is from the waist or the hips all the way up. Then a full shot or a wide shot is the entire figure. And then extra wide is if the people are really far in the distance. So you can use that to show someone is alone at the end or in the beginning to establish a location. Then when you're having a conversation, there's a certain way you have two people talking. So you'll have one person, it's called the shot, and then the reverse shot, which is the other person talking, and over the shoulder, and then you say either front or back. So you're probably used to seeing this a lot on television, and I will show you a scene over here that I have pulled up. I just have to find it quickly. Okay. So I'm gonna share my Vimeo. So here, there's a kid and his aunt are chasing a dog who ran away. So those shots I just showed you are in this scene here. So this is a wide shot or extra wide. And then you can get all the scenery.
Jay, I have to go get Bobby's parents from the train stations. You need to change your clothes before they get back, okay? Find Pookie and wait! What?
See, I have an idea.
All right, soldiers. Pookie today?
Yeah!
Mom's out.
Okay. So we'll stop there with that. So you got the idea. So here we're ending on a wide shot. We have this whole group of kids, and then you got to see all the scenery because we had an extra wide shot earlier. And then they should be facing each other, but she in the scene, oh, let me go back to that. They should be facing each other ideally, but in the scene she already turned around to run away, so that's why it's like that. So that's something to think about, whose perspective you're also showing. So if you're over the kid's shoulder, then it's the kid's perspective. Then you have to think about how many people are in the shot. So you're probably used to single shots, mostly when people are having a conversation. You can have a 2-shot, and they can be near each other or they can be far apart if they're angry or something. And then you can have a group wide shot. So when you're doing a musical and you're showing dancing, a wide shot is, helpful to show the whole dance. Or you may want to have single solo dancers also. So this is also different camera angles come into play. So you can have a bird's eye view. So that's also good for dances. You can have a low angle where the person looks strong. If you have a high angle, they say the person looks weaker. It also depends on the performance. And then there's a POV, which is what the character sees, their perspective from their eyes. So I'll show you again a little dance over here. Here, so this is like a garba, a party. So there's a kid. So this is a medium shot of the kid. And there's your bird's eye to show the whole dancing. And then this is a wide shot, but you're getting all the different angles of the people who are spinning around. And then you can go in like this. So then you have a close-up and a medium of 2 characters who you focus on. Yeah. Okay. So that's one example. And then in music videos, they'll use a lot of movement. They'll go sideways also. So camera movement is another thing to think about. And then lighting. So if you're doing a horror movie, you want shadows and creepy lighting. If you're doing a comedy, you want bright lighting. And people are not scared, they're laughing. And then you think about is the lighting soft, is the lighting hard? And then you think about color. So the color of the light, the color of the costume, the color of the set. All of these things you can make decisions about. Then you get into directing actors. So when you're directing actors, you have to think about each line that they're saying and what the character's feeling from their perspective. And then you give them an action for each line. So let's say the line is, "You're my best friend." What does that mean? Is the person angry? Like, "You're my best friend and you messed up and you cheated me," or is it the person sad? Like, "Oh, but you're my best friend and you're moving." So you have to think about what the line is and in the context of the scene, what the person is feeling. And then you tell the actor a verb for each line. So, okay, here you confess, "Oh, you're my best friend. I never told you that." Or comfort your best friend. Your best friend's feeling really sad. So you say a verb, so it's easier for the person to, be specific. And then it's good if you have time, if you can talk to each actor privately, like you take them on the side or you whisper, and then you talk to them as if it's the character's name. So the name in your script of the character, is it 1944? The year?
1945.
Okay. 1945. Yeah, so the name of the act of the you'll say the character's name so they feel like they're in the character, and then you secretly tell them something so they get surprised by each other, and then you can change your idea and you can see, oh, there's a different reaction that the other person have, and then you tell them to maintain eye contact also. That's really important. And then you have to pretend like, as the director, you're on each person's side. So you have to pretend you're the best friend of this person and the best friend of that person. And so then they really feel like, oh, you have their back. And then you can say things like, oh, you had the ball first, but then your friend didn't pass it to you. So how do you feel about that? So then they can connect to a feeling they may have had, like, I feel sad or I feel mad. And that's the feeling that you want them to have. So that's how you get them to remember their feelings and perform the action. Then you think about what does the character want from the other character. So if you're talking about cereal, maybe the words are about cereal, but really they're in a fight and now they made up and now they're having cereal together without talking about it. So, and then you think about what does the character need from the other one. So while you're eating cereal with your sister, you forgive each other for the fight that you had earlier. So once you know all the feelings, then you can go back in and do this on the second round. And then, like I said, you have to connect your actor to their experience. So were you ever mad at your brother? Tell me about it. Did you ever feel sad that your pet died? Tell me a story about it. And so then they remember that feeling and then they act that way. So coming to sound, you know, there's a saying, lights, camera, action, but actually when you're on set, they say sound, and then sound is rolling, then camera is rolling, and then you say action. So you have to think about the sound in your scene also. Is it a funny scene with funny, creaky noises, or is it a creepy scene with creepy, creaky noises? So you have to think about, you know, the mood you're trying to create. And it's also good to have microphones, like you can record it on your phone nowadays, but it's good to have a microphone that you can pin onto the actor if possible. And when you're shooting, you want to practice first. So you practice where everyone's going to stand and how they're going to move, or if they're going to dance, or however it is. Then you get the wide shot first, so you get everything, and then you move closer and closer and closer, and every time you record. So that's how you plan to shoot everything and get everything together. So if you run out of time or you're running late, at least you got everyone first in your wide shot in the beginning. And then finally, safety is always important, and communication. So if you have a scene with a fight or a knife or something, like there's a detective with a knife, don't use an actual knife from your kitchen. Get a prop or a toy, go with your parents and get that. If you have a fight, don't actually fight. You have to choreograph and pretend that you're fighting. Everything is pretending. And then nowadays we have to think about social distancing also. And then to talk to people, like if you're collaborating, you're working with each other, and there's a way to say, can I make a suggestion? You don't have to fight and yell about things. You can just say, can I make a suggestion? Let's do this. And then you can ask, are you comfortable doing this? Are you comfortable fighting, or whatever you're gonna do? And finally, if you get excited and you want to make movies in the city, you have to practice safety, because the city is a real place where real robberies happen and real bad things happen. So if you're doing something like that, then you should tell your neighbors, and then tell your local precinct, or you can go through the mayor's office is the best way to do that, because you don't want someone in your neighborhood to think it's real and then somebody gets hurt. So those are my main points. And does anyone have any questions? That was probably a lot to go through quickly, but I summed it down as I could.
Thank you, Shilpa. It's funny because now I see why you you were saying, how could you do a musical? And well, we're not doing all that. We're sort of like a pigeon movie. We're going to be using a green screen, we think. Do you have any tips on green screen? Well, we're going to see how it goes.
Green screen, yeah, you have to light it in a particular way. Well, it depends what you're doing on the green screen, but you have to light it in a particular way so that it matches the background. And if you want to repeat the action, like they're walking across, but you're actually taking 3 steps and repeating it, there's a particular way that you're supposed to light all that stuff. So it may be easier. Yeah, I don't know.
If it's natural light, I guess we'll do a test and see if it works. And if it doesn't work, then we'll...
Yeah.
Then we won't use a green screen.
Do you have a studio there or a green screen, a pull down green screen?
Nick has got, we're scrappy. So I think we bought some green tablecloths that were...
Oh, nice.
Getting creative. So I guess we'll just see if it works.
Yeah.
Green tablecloth.
Who's doing the animation?
So the kids are making the drawings.
Oh, wow, that's so cool.
Yeah, and then we'll have one of our staff is putting it together.
Nice.
Just with Adobe Premiere.
That's awesome.
So, yeah. So we'll see if it works. Kids, do you guys have any, you got any questions?
Have any questions? And yeah, these days people shoot all kinds of stuff at home on their phones, but you can still use all these ideas to do that.
Oh, Jalen, do you have a question?
Have you directed?
We didn't quite hear that, Jalen. Will you repeat it?
Directed.
One more time.
What shows have you directed on Disney Channel?
Oh, I've directed some family comedy content that was digital content, and they have a showcase every year, so I've directed for that. And then I'm up for some other projects now.
I'm sure the kids would want to know if you're ever casting.
Oh yeah, always. Right now things are kind of on hold, but yeah. So all of you are taking acting, or?
Can somebody unmute and tell Shilpa what we're doing here?
I can't hear.
Called the Grand Central Heist, and it's about 4 villains who want to stop the train system.
Oh.
From 1945 and 2020, convince the times a good thing.
Oh, you went in and out, Jalen. Will you repeat that?
20 kids in the 1945 kids, they convince villains is sometimes a good thing.
Okay.
So let's get on to what Jalen was saying. Yeah, Bobby.
I don't know. Should I just say what he said because he was cutting in and out? So there's 4 villains from 1945 that wanted to stop the train systems in 1945 because they didn't think that change was a good thing because everything was good the way that things were. And then there was a group of kids in 1945 right before the Grand Central Heist happened, and then there was a group of kids in 2020 who didn't have any train systems because the Grand Central Heist happened in 1945. And then somehow the 2020 kids got transported to 1945 to meet the 1945 kids, and then they told them that there was no train systems, and they were so surprised. And then they realized, hey, the Grand Central Heist happened in 1945. We should go try and stop it because it's probably going to happen any minute now. So then they went to the Grand Central Station, and they convinced the villains that change can be good sometimes. And then everyone was happy because there were trains in 2020 again.
Nice. So you guys are drawing the trains?
Can someone
drawing? I think there's like 3 areas. I think there's like the 2020 attic, and then there's the 1940 attic because they get transported through an attic, and then there's the train station.
Whispering gallery.
Oh, cool.
There aren't any actual trains in the play.
Also,
go ahead.
Also, for the villains, it's Claudine, who's the leader. Then there's Seth, who's like her main henchman, and then there's Theo and Lane, who are kind of like dopey-ish. And then it's kind of weird because the 1945 kids are related to the 2020 kids.
Okay.
And so they have like a little reunion.
We made a family tree.
Oh, nice.
Do any of you guys have
their great grandparents or something?
No, they're grandparents.
Oh, nice.
I don't know too much. I'm a villain.
Do any of you have ideas on things that Shilpa was talking about that we can apply once we get to filming in the parking lot? Or we're going to be filming in a parking lot.
Oh, nice.
I was excited about the over-the-shoulder shots. I think those would be pretty cool.
Especially since like we don't have any like scenes where there's like just 2 people talking, because there's like each group is always together, and there's 3 groups of 4. So there's even the smallest scenes have like 4 people. So we'll really be able to utilize the over-the-shoulder shot.
Yeah. And you can split them up into half on this side and half on that side, talking to each other in a circle, or however you want to do that. And that's the difference between film and theater, because in film you can have someone's back facing the audience because you're over their shoulder, or you're just showing a wide shot, whereas in theater it's usually better if everyone's generally facing the audience so they can project their voice.
I also love that idea of taking a wide shot first and then coming in and doing close-ups, so we could do the same scene multiple times, you guys, and get really tight up into your eyeballs. With my iPhone. This is gonna be shot on my iPhone.
Nice.
So I'm happy to hear about that app too.
Yeah. There are lenses for your iPhone on YouTube. People do all these tutorials. Yeah.
Any other things you all saw, or do you want to tell Shilpa sort of the nuts and bolts of what BCT is?
Everyone's feeling quiet.
Wait, no, I didn't hear you. You lagged out for me.
Oh, did I? I got a thing in the chat saying, should we say what BCT is? Does anybody want to tell Shilpa what BCT is?
I was trying to unmute and like my thing wasn't working. So it's Brooklyn. It stands for Brooklyn Children's Theater, as you probably know, and we do plays about almost basically anything. Sometimes they're fantasies. Well, they're always fiction, but sometimes they're more realistic than others. And some of them are written by kids. Some of them are written by producers. And you can kind of tell the ones that are written by kids because they like kind of get the reins, and you can tell in like a character's weird name or something like that. But it's really cool. Every character is pretty diverse, and it's really nice.
Cool. Oh, someone asked, does a director associate with casting directors? Yes, sometimes do casting alone, but sometimes you do casting with the casting director. And there's also Breakdown Express where we put the casting calls out, and that goes to the managers. And actually for this project, I had a hard time casting kids. So yeah, we're always looking for people. And especially specific communities. Sometimes the story is related to that, so you want to find specific kids also. And then it's good if you can memorize lines, if you can take direction, like if someone says, okay, like I showed you, read the line angry, now read it sad. If you can do stuff like that when you go in for an audition, that's a good thing people look at, because then you have a range, or you understand, you know, what, trying different things out. So especially if you've practiced like this in a group like this, you probably have some experience doing that type of stuff.
That's great advice. I didn't even think about taking it that way, because I'm sure, raise your hand if you want to be a professional actor. Anybody in this group want to be a professional actor?
I do.
We got some, yep.
Yeah, I started out in school plays, and I grew up half an hour from the city, so kids in my class were always going to audition, and some of them ended up on Boardwalk Empire and other shows later, or on Broadway or whatever. So those opportunities are always there. And now with Zoom, you can do readings, or you can audition for other shows in other cities, like in LA. You don't have to live there, for example, and you never know what's going to come up. So yeah. And nowadays you can shoot stuff with your friends and put it on YouTube. So that's the easiest thing to do. And just keep practicing and writing your own stories and jokes, and keep it short if you're doing that.
Short and sweet. Love it.
Yeah.